Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread for today? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are our 5 of Swords in its reversal, in combination with our Hermit card in its reversal. Not surprised to see this type of energy right now. It's giving me a lot of this feeling of working through clean slate. We've got a Gemini new moon coming up. We've in Gemini season. We've got Mercury about to move into Gemini. We've got Jupiter in Gemini. There's a lot of Gemini energy. But I will also point out there's a little bit of this. Everything's about to pop off energetically, but there's a little bit of stagnancy that we're currently experiencing right now. And that has to do with the fact that Mercury's in Taurus. Now, it's the fact that when we recognize that the Taurus energy, it's slower. It's much more about rigor. And often when we have Mercury in Taurus, it can often feel a little bit akin to a retrograde, because that feeling of things taking longer than they should, or a little bit of that lag, you may be feeling this right now. It may be some kind of feelings of working through a rut or getting frustrated around routines. But this is why I keep on hearing that Gemini energy is kind of here to save the day. Because when we're working through a rut, it's not about abandoning things entirely. It's about doing something differently. It's being adaptive. And there's a lot of that space that we're seeing in terms of the lessons that have been coming through as it relates to adaptability. And what do we talk about when we talk about adaptability? You know, there are the things that we're naturally inclined to do, right? There are the things that feel like they're within our wheelhouse in relationality to, I keep on hearing, it's the conversation between the difference between a gift and a talent. The things that we're naturally inclined in doing often are ones that we don't have to think about. It's just something that allows for that space of easement. But when we're working into the space of doing something we haven't before, it's very easy to get frustrated at the self. It's very easy to get hard on the self, right? We've had a lot of that work that we're seeing, and I was talking about this yesterday. In this way, Aries and Gemini are very similar, because Aries have a lot of volatility in relationality to healing their relationship to Saturn, right? And there's the misconception that Aries lack patience. Aries don't lack patience. They have patience. They just don't have a lot of it. But this is why they're very conservative as to what they put their patience towards. And there's also the space that because Aries are so clock-oriented, they are able to discern the difference between the patience that feels like it's paying off with progress versus the feeling of having one's energetic time wasted or working through the space of stagnancy. This is why we see so many Aries that go into coaching, because Aries it's not the lack of patience. It's a lot of that space that once Aries sees progress, Aries is like, we'll stay here all day. I'll keep on doing it. It's the idea of the patience that one is able to pay off on in terms of seeing the transformation that occurs within it. Gemini, not so much in the space of progress, but looking towards newness, working towards innovation, right? Like Gemini lessons are often about calibrating towards the delight of a new experience, right? And one of the things that we see that often Geminis come to learn is the difference between adaptability and fickleness, right? Now, you'll remember when we were going through Taurus season, we were talking about the difference between stubbornness and tenacity. So I'm not surprised to see the fact that we're coming into Gemini season with conversations about the difference between adaptability and fickleness. What is the difference between adaptability and fickleness? Adaptability is the ability to identify a direction that one is going and then to be very, very constructive as it relates to the way to get there, right? It's that energy that says, I'm trying to go to Albuquerque. What's it going to take to get there? Right? Like playing, like what do you need to do? Right? It's the identification point of being able to do something in a way that allows for the ability to get anywhere, right? Because when we are adaptable, it's the conversation that says when we're adaptable in our manifestation goals, right? We recognize what feels like it's valuable versus what we feel like we need to be like extending upon. It works into the realm of possibility, right? It works into that space of adaptability. However, and this is something that is difficult for potentially a bit of the work that we see that a lot of Gemini have to face. The difference between being adaptable, working towards a manifestation goal and doing whatever it takes to get there versus being too fickle. What's fickleness? A manifestation goal that we're not able to build resilience into, right? Becoming too changeable. It's the adaptability for the sake of adaptability. It's often that space of fickleness where we're changing too much. And this sometimes can create a stagnancy point because when we're too changeable, right? When we're changing gears too much, right? It often can create that frustration point because it's change for the sake of change instead of coming into the space of identifying and recognizing what the path and purpose is. So I see that there's a lot of this work here. And the reason I'm seeing this is also because this is what a lot of the conversations are that are happening for some of the energy and separation. Because you remember, I told you the fact that a lot of these partnerships that are forming right now are in magician energy. So they're not just coming towards each other with that, like, and I keep on telling you, like, there's a lot, it's like the magician energy that's a reality check. Because this isn't the energy that says, like partnership is magical. Let's just see if there's chemistry. This is the energy that's saying, let's break it down. Let's break it down. Let's understand it. Because this is the energy that says to make something magical, you have to be willing to put the work in. And this is potentially even why we see that there may be a lot of conversations that are happening right now in the new partnerships talking about what they had to move away from or what they had to cut away from. Because that space, like what often happens when we're trying to build with someone, but they can't stay focused on a single purpose, right? When it feels like, again, those modalities or those moments where we don't necessarily, like we talked a lot about the fact that the energy coming into divine union builds into that reliability space. And what's beautiful about this, and those who are in the healed Gemini energy understand this. When Gemini's in there's healed energy of the Gemini, they become a power source. The energy that says it's not about a single direction. It's about when you're trying to do something, it's whatever it takes to get there, right? It's like, it's no holds barred kind of energy. But when we're too changeable, right? When we get too caught in the space of browsing, when we get too lost in the space of looking at what is around us, right? That ability of holding into that point of consistency, we can often lose our purpose because of the array. That's what the Gemini energy often is up against. It's working through the array, or not allowing the fact that there's an array of options to distract one from one's internal compass. So we're seeing that there's a lot of this here that we're identifying, and I would not be surprised if there's conversations that are occurring right now for energy that is coming into partnership related to prioritization of what it takes to be able to prioritize in relationship, but also about adaptability, right? The conversation, I keep on hearing that being able to tell the difference, right? And this is the continuation of what we saw between the ability to be energetically focused on a manifestation and be adaptable versus that space of not necessarily having a manifestation or working in that space of kind of like seeing what's out there, right? This could be a lot of the frustration that others are articulating about like, I keep on hearing the over exploration that is often indicative of being lost because one doesn't have a sense of purpose. So this is why we talk a lot about the fact that one of the things that we bring with us to partnership is not feeling like we're going to find our identity in partnership, right? A relationship should never come into the space of of identifying us, but our own ability to recognize ourselves is what reinforces what it is that we're building with another. This brings us to our center card for today's spread. There's that Knight of Swords. And I keep on seeing, I want to express there's a little bit of, I told you, there's a little bit of volatility that may be occurring in some of these new connections. But I need to point this out. The volatility that I'm seeing here is potentially in the recognition of building, I keep on seeing, having a productive conversation where in the past with another relationship, it would have led to an argument, right? I keep on hearing like that ability of being able to address something, that ability to be able to energetically face something. I keep on hearing the ability to have a hard conversation, but not a volatile one, can sometimes make us volatile in experiences in the past where we feel like we've hit the egoic wall of another, right? The difference of someone like moving away from something instead of facing it, or letting the emotions, letting the over emotionality create a wall. And I keep on seeing that what's happening right now for the energy and separation is seeing the flow of communication that identifies the impasse that was the impossibility in the past relationship, right? Because I keep on hearing the healthy relationship is one that works to bring the walls down instead of holding them up. Now, what's interesting here for the energy coming into divine union, this is, I told you, I'm not surprised to see this. We're going through a Pluto retrograde. There's going to be a lot of conversations in relationality to working through the space of intimacy, right? For a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, this is the work, right? This Hermit in its reversal. Why do we heal to come into partnership? Because when we go into the inner sanctum of the self, when we finally find the peace that partnership provides, we go into the inner sanctum of the self, we don't know what we're going to find there. We don't know the trauma we carry until we move into a space of peace, because that ability of doing so, right? We come out of fight or flight. We come out of those spaces where it feels like we're constantly have to have our guard up, working through that space of vulnerability. I told you, this is why the energy is potentially saying to those around you, how's the relationship? Amazing. How are you feeling? Have never been worse. Why are they saying? But it's a good worse, right? It's saying to me, it's the worst because it's the observation. They're finding what they've been carrying. They've got the new assignment. They're seeing what that path work is. It's not easy. I keep on hearing it's not easy, but it's blessed work, right? When we're working on ourselves, this is why we talk about spirituality that doesn't just make us feel perfect all the time. It's addressing where the work is, because I keep on hearing it's not easy, but it's blessed work, right? Now, for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, woo, there it is, 7. Oh, we got 3 cards coming out. That's Gemini season. We got 7 of Cups in its reversal in combination with our 9 of Swords and our 5 of Pentacles in its reversal. I keep on hearing this is what's difficult, is when we're building into, I keep on hearing, when we're building into healthy manifestations, we show, we don't tell. I keep on hearing we do it together or we don't do it at all. We don't articulate upon the path work by which the manifestation is an energetic directive. We articulate the space of the identification point of, I keep on seeing what is good, what feels good and what is good. So that amplification of building into the space of being able to recognize and identify what feels like it is energetically supportive. And that's why I keep on seeing that it's interesting, because I'm identifying some volatility right now for energy deep within divine union, because that modality of working through, and I keep on seeing the egoic journey never stops. it's always one that you have to be conscientious of, right? So that ability of doing so, always coming into the space of critiquing the self first, working into that space of assessment. I keep on hearing that for a lot of the energy, deep within divine union, that ability of, I keep on seeing processing or working through something. I keep on hearing there's a lot of energy working through the concept of refinement. But in the space of recognizing and identifying and getting to the heart of something, to be able to better articulate it, or to find a way to be able to say something in a way that you haven't said it before. So I keep on seeing there's a lot of work that's happening right now, deep within divine union, in being able to articulate the difference between something, I keep on hearing something that is exceptional versus trying to do something, trying to make an exception. And I keep on hearing when we are doing something exceptional, there are no exceptions. We'll definitely try to unpack that more because that's something new that's coming through. Continuing to get clarification between our Five of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Hermit card in its reversal. There's that Moon card in its upright. And I love it. Here's the thing. I mean, it's reversal. I like seeing a Moon card here in its reversal because I think I told you that there's a lot of this work that we're seeing that's being navigated right now, especially through the transition point between Taurus and Gemini, which is navigating the hard truth, right? And why do we talk about navigating the hard truth? Because the context by which we build into a spiritual journey is not one, I keep on hearing, a spiritual journey should not feel like a pat on the head. It should not feel like, I'm doing great. Like, look how great I am. You guys are all the worst. I'm great, right? It's not that space where we articulate upon, it's not a space. I keep on hearing the spiritual space is not a place where we talk about how great we are. We talk about where it's where we work. We come to work. I keep on hearing it's where we come to work. So that ability of being able to identify what those difficulties are, right? Like I keep on seeing that this is important because I'm identifying that for a lot of the energy right now, especially energy in separation, I keep on hearing these are energies in separation, healing from relationships wherein they never felt good enough, right? And this is why we see that a lot of the energy healing from the relationships where they never felt good enough is potentially working through navigating the spiritual journey of hard truth, which is often those spaces where someone says to us, I love you. And then you have to say back to them, well, if you say you love me, why does it feel like you don't like me? Because when we're coming into the space that we recognize that we have different manifestation goals, understanding a healthy relationship is one where we're always going to find change, right? If you're about to go into a relationship and you're saying, I want to go into a relationship and I don't want to change, you don't want a relationship. Go somewhere else. Okay? like there's no, like that is not, a relationship is only about change, right? You don't go into relationships by mean of stagnation. Relationships by their very nature change us. If you want to go into a space of not changing, would I like to introduce you to the Hermit card? This is all about not changing, okay? Like, it's like, I'm going away. I am not going to change. But even the Hermit comes back, right? The ability of understanding that relationships change us. It's understanding that the relationship that's positive for us changes us in the best way possible, right? We go, thank God. We go, so good, right? It helps us see ourselves more clearly. We find ourselves in our relationships. And the reason you see someone in a positive relationship that says that they're found is not because it's because they see themselves more clearly through the eyes of the counterpart that wants the same things that they want. And you say, finally, someone that gets it, someone that I can walk with in that space, okay? But when we are in unhealthy relationships, it feels like we're on the rack. It feels like we're being changed in ways that we don't desire or aspire to. It feels like the space of that feels like it moves us further away from ourselves, further away from our purpose, right? And often you can articulate that when that moment, when you look at another person, you say, what do you want from me? Because the question of saying, what do you want from me, is the observation of saying, there's clearly something that you want from me that I might not want for myself. And so I keep on seeing that there's something about that ability. This is why I keep on hearing these magician energies right now. These magician relationships are ripping the Band-Aid off. They're saying, better to know now. If you don't like me, say so, right? There's some energy right now. I'm telling you right now, and this is why I'm seeing some of these partnerships that are forming right now. They're giving each other a little bit of this, like, speak now or forever hold your peace, as it relates to coming into their authenticity, because this is the energy that says, this isn't the energy, and I need to stress this isn't the energy that says, I refuse to change, right? This is not the energy that says, I refuse to change. This is the energy that says, never again will I change for someone. Moving forward, I will only change with someone. Because when we're building into the relationship that feels like it's in alignment to us, it feels like we are growing with someone, not changing for someone. It is the ability of seeing the self that allows one to aspire, not feeling like you're being you're being contorted into something that one is not. And we see even, and this is also being communicated right now for a lot of the energy that is coming into divine union. Because I told you that what is happening right now. That is what the energy, like when I said what is happening right now, I'm telling, that's what the energy is saying coming into union. They're saying what is happening right now. And they're saying, I don't recognize myself. But they're saying it with a smile on their face. They're saying it with a feeling of vibrancy, because that is the energy. When we start changing in ways that we go, I don't know what's happening, but I like it. That is the energy of transformation. Right? That is the energy of transfiguration, the changing into something that feels like it brings us into a space of delight, a space of energetic bliss. That because it is the change that says, I'm changing in ways I could not see, and I like the way that I see myself changing, right? It is the force of energetic positivity by which we're able to build into the context of working through vulnerability, right? I keep on getting, there's some energy right now. The energy coming into divine union is very much in Cancer energy right now, because the energy is working through vulnerability in the same process of transformation, which we're going to talk about when we get to Cancer season. This brings us to the energy deep within divine union. Boom, 8 of Pentacles in its upright. Clarification between our Hermit card in its reversal and the Knight of Swords in its upright. This is feeling very Cancerian too. There's a lot of Cancerian energy right now. But this is feeling more, and I'm not surprised to see this. I told you, often when I read, when energy coming into divine union and energy in separation is very vulnerable, energy deep within divine union starts getting very protective. Almost intuitively is what I get. And that's why I see that for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, it's interesting because it's not about being adaptable. It's talking about limits. I keep on hearing it's there's a limit to things. But that's why, because we see even now that a lot of that space, being able to say the limits that are articulated with the difference of things, is I keep on hearing, that's why I keep on hearing the difference between exclusive and exceptional, right? Because when we're in a space of exception, the exceptional is something that we all can strive for. Exclusive is something that says only me, right? It's like a lot of that. And what often do we recognize between the difference between exclusive and exceptional? Higher self is exceptional. Higher self says we all have that moment of being exquisite in that space. The ego will say exclusive. The ego will say just me, right? Like it's just me. Like it's a lot of that prioritization that is the recognition of saying something that's only like that speaks towards, like I keep on seeing like the identity, the identification point of, I keep on hearing like no pedestal, right? Because I keep on hearing when we're on a pedestal, we should do so we can be heard. We don't do so to say that there's something special within the self, is what I keep on seeing. And so I keep on hearing that there's a lot of conversations right now in relationality to pedestals, because I keep on hearing a pedestal is something that you do, you get on to be heard better. It's not something that you say that you do so because of a sense that only one can do it, is what I keep on hearing. There's a lot of conversations related to nuance, and I just keep on hearing the difference between exceptional and exclusive. Bottom of the deck bottom of the deck, that's Pluto retrograde coming in. But the next card to clarify, between our Knight of Swords and its upright in combination with our Seven of Cups in its reversal. A lot of, like, there's that King of Wands in its reversal. So it's interesting because this King of Wands should look familiar. If you recall, we saw this King of Wands almost in the same exact position yesterday. Now, yesterday, this was in its upright. Today, it is in its reversal. This is having a different impact on feminine and masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. And one of the things that I'm seeing here has to do with, I keep on identifying, like, there's something really important that I'm recognizing in relationality to like the masculine energy, and communicating the difference between the higher self and the ego is what I keep on seeing, right? Because often we have these journeys and it's hard to tell the direction. Is what I keep on hearing. It's hard to tell the direction. So I'm going to say it again, especially when there's a lot of energetic feelings that come to bear. So one of the things to help, if you're feeling like this right now, because I do feel like there's a lot of emotions coming to the surface right now, given the fact that we've got Saturn moving out of Pisces into Aries. When we feel something strongly and we feel we feel that energetic call towards something, the higher self always has an explanation as to why, right? Why am I feeling called? Like, why am I feeling called? Right? The higher self will sit down and be like, this is what that feeling is, right? This is where that energetic calling comes from. Like, this is like the calling card of higher self, is it always has, it wants to talk. It wants to talk. It wants to have a conversation. The calling card of the higher self is call me so we can talk about something, right? The ego says, because I said so, because I said so, because I said so, right? It's that space of saying, like, the idea of working through the self is the call of response in the self that says, why am I feeling so strongly about this? And then listening. It's the act of listening within the self to identify, like, the difference between, I keep on hearing, the urge of the ego versus the conversation of the higher self. So this is why I told you, like, this is what we mean, right? These two cards in proximity are effectively, like I said, it's working towards, these two cards together right now are reflective of the Magician card, right? Because I told you, what do we see with the Magician card? The hand that reaches up to the higher self, the hand that pushes back the energetic ego, working in that space of vulnerability to be able to understand and recognize what one finds there, the understanding of the self. So I see even now that there's something about that movement of Saturn right now where there may be a lot of feelings that are coming up for masculine, but being able to work through that vulnerability through a point of productivity, right? It's the ability to be able to explain how one is feeling that articulates and authenticates where the directive of the feeling is coming from. While for feminine, can I get clarification right now between our 7 of Cups in its reversal, our 9 of Wands, Swords in its upright, and that 5 of Pentacles in its reversal? Wow, that was interesting how that card came out. Interestingly, as I asked for the feminine card, here comes the Empress. I don't know if you saw how that card spilled out. It spilled out very, it spilled out very weirdly. It's the Pluto retrograde. It's like, meh. It's like, I feel like there's something about like feminine energy right now that is, how do I explain this? There's, it's very much the similar, this is more the space. I keep on hearing there's a lot of feminine energy that is working through the difference between being coveted and being appreciated, right? Because when we energetically appreciate, we hold each other in a point of equanimity, right? It's the space that we feel like we're energetically equals. But when we feel, and I told, like, when we feel like we are a means to an end, when we feel like those moments where another person is articulating the displeasure in how they see us because it doesn't please them, right? There's a lot of this feminine energy that's working into the context of building into new partnership. And it's hard because they've had an intimacy wound, right? They're trying to heal the space of feeling that another person, and again, when we're not authentic with our manifestation goals, when we're not building together, it can often feel like it creates that sense of us being taken advantage of, or an ends to a mean, or another person that sees us as an object instead as someone that we're creating with. And so that's why I see that even for some of these new partnerships that are forming at this time, there's a little bit of this trepidation, because this is the energy that recognizes a difference between the articulation of a manifestation goal versus having what it takes to get there. So I see even now that both masculine and feminine, I keep on seeing a lot of these new partnerships, even while they're in magician energy, they're taking a lot of time to get to know one another. They're letting Saturn do that work. And they're almost apologizing to each other, because this is the energy saying, it's not that I don't trust you. It's just that, and the energy saying, you don't have to explain to me. I totally understand. Right? These are both of these energies working through that. This is masculine healing from the space or place of, again, understanding that when we feel that sense of, when we recognize and identify and articulate upon the things that we manifest, we don't look up, we do that. I keep on hearing, we do that together. We don't do that apart. We don't look to each other. We build together. And I see feminine saying to masculine, I'm not an energetic means to the end. So you see that even now, both of these energies are working through a lot of those wounds. And something about the trepidation that they hold for one another is healing the bonds of intimacy in the process. Because I keep on hearing that's like both of the energies in separation, building into the new connection, saying to one another, you are not a means to an end. You are not the portal by which I find my manifestation. You are the energetic manifestation, because that is the energy that builds into the context of building with one another, as opposed to kind of trying to drive forward into something. While I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, that same work that we're recognizing and identifying has to do in the space of what this healing feels like. I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now of masculine, and this is what, like, I keep on hearing the surrealness. This is energy that's coming into divine union. And what does it feel like? It feels surreal. It feels like they've never felt that way, because when we heal and we go through that shift, it's not just about finding peace. Peace does not exist within another person. Peace is something that we maintain within ourselves, and it's in that work of building in with counterpart. So I keep on seeing that this is the masculine that's recognizing that peace is not found, it's made every day, and our ability to work through our own volatility, our ability to work through our own frustration. This is what it takes to get there. And so I keep on seeing that for a lot of the masculine, doing that work, finding that, I keep on hearing like finding that horsepower within the self, right? It's not about learning to do something new. It's about stopping the energetic inclination of moving away, like back into trauma, moving back into the headspace that the trauma told you was the norm instead of coming into the arrival point of what the energetic piece is. For feminine, this feels more like working through doubts and fears and anxieties, right? Because this is a lot of the feminine energy that works through a lot of those fears but doesn't project them outwards, being able to articulate and communicate upon them, right? Allowing the emotions not to be led by the emotions, but letting the emotions be prescriptive, talking about what one needs instead of building into that context of fear. So there's a lot of this energy here of working through that. And I just want to point out, like working through that vulnerability right now this is what we're seeing for the difference between masculine and feminine. Now for the energy deep within divine union, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of the masculine energy with this Cancer energy I'm picking up on. I'm not sure where the Cancer energy is coming through right now, but it feels very much, it feels a lot like daydream. I almost see like a lot of the masculine energy right now working through, I keep on hearing working through daydreams, but working through daydreams to make a fantasy a reality, right? And that's why we talk about the importance and significance of, it could also be Aquarian, because I keep on hearing that there's a lot of the work that's happening in the difference between a pipe dream and a reality is the feeling that I keep on getting. This was a message that was coming through yesterday too. The mind has a really hard time envisioning pain. Like even in our headspace, things that we wouldn't like, it's hard for the mind to create the space of pain. But that's why we talk about the ability of recognizing and working through discomfiture, working through what something feels like. Often in those moments, right, the dream that becomes a reality, this is sometimes how we pull back on manifestations, right? We've all had those moments, something that feels good in our head, but then when we start doing it, we're like, this isn't really for me, right? like, it's the ability of understanding like what something looks like as an ideal versus what it feels like to energetically embody it. And so, one of the things that we see, and I can almost see this in some of those conversations that are happening in divine union, is either the appreciation. I keep on hearing conversations on what it feels like or how it takes to get there. And even that space, like why that space is surreal, is because often in the space of our dreams, we only feel the positive work, right? But the ability to, I keep on hearing the ability to embody the manifestation of what we aspire for isn't just about liking the nice parts. It's also about doing the work and the hard parts, right? So that's like why and this is why I feel like this is also, there's a connection point between the energy deep within divine union and the energy in separation, because this is the same conversation that the energy in separation is having, because the energy in separation is talking about past relationships where someone said they wanted something, but they didn't have the resilience or they didn't have the energetic effort to be able to get there. Words mean nothing without action. And this is why there's a bit of trepidation in building together, because this is the energy that says talking towards a manifestation is half the work. Showing up to do the work is the other half. Clarification between our Eight of Pentacles and our King of Wands and its reversal. Nobody wants to work in, like it's talking, it's a lot. I feel like a lot of the energy in separation is talking about the difference between wishes and does. Right? What's the difference between a wish and a manifestation? It's easy to wish. It's easy to perseverate as to why something isn't happening, right? But when we look at the universe and say, where is it? The universe looks back at us and says, that's rude. Like, that's rude. Right? The difference between, working in that space, I keep on hearing manifestations aren't a delivery service. It's not the space that we say, where is it? Why is it taking it so long? Right? Because when we look to the universe and say why it's taking so long, it's like the universe says, well, what are you doing? Like, where are you going? What do you want me to do? I can't, like, what are you doing? I'm giving you all the things I'm giving you all the tools you need, right? A healthy manifestation is working in collaboration with the universe and saying, this is what I aspire for. This is what I know what it's going to take to get there. It's a walk and it's speaking and walking. Right. And that's what this Gemini energy is teaching us. Gemini energy understands this, right? That's what we talk about with the twins. It's easy to say something. It's another to do it, right? It's not just the ability. You can't have one. You need both, right? The ability to move towards what it is that we aspire for, right? That adaptation, right? Manifestation at its core is the adaptation of being able to recognize and articulate what it is that we desire. And then we build into the healthy manifestation that says, what does it take to get there, right? It's working in collaboration. It's working in harmony towards what it is that we hope to create. And this is why I keep on seeing that there's some energy right now healing from some kind of exceptional behavior in as it relates to past relationship dynamics. Someone that was like, why aren't you doing, like, why isn't it happening? Why aren't you doing all of the work? Like, it's like, often we hit those relationships, and this is what we mean, right? Because when we are experiencing inconsistency from someone, and then we feed consistency to it, then it creates that space of energetic exceptionalism of another person being like, why aren't you giving what you always like? Why aren't you being consistent? And this is why I see, like, this is why it's important that we don't pay it forward in our relationships. Because when we are experiencing inconsistency in another, and we feed consistency to the inconsistency, then it solidifies the inconsistency. It creates that space of another saying, this is how it goes. This is what it is between us, while another person is like waiting for it to change. And that's literally when you're existing in a relationship where there's two different realities as to what's happening, where you can have one person being like, everything's fine, and another person saying, everything's awful. Right. And one person keeps on going, things are getting better and better. And another person's like, I'm almost like at my breaking point. I can't take it anymore. Right. So that ability of being able to articulate, this is why I see that a lot of this energy is working in terms of building into the space to identify if that consistency is something that is there, because that is the amplification or articulation of understanding the difference between energy that says they want something versus energy that knows what it takes to get there. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, coming into divine union between our King of Wands and our Empress card, there it is. We're going to see a lot of this right now. This is a heavy Gemini card too. We've got our two of Pentacles. So I see even now there's something really beautiful that's happening in relationality to, I feel like a lot of the energy right now that is coming into divine union is moving into, they're moving out of Cancer into Scorpio. And why is that? Because I see that energy saying, I'm changing in ways I didn't even know were possible, right? This is what we talk about in the space of understanding how relationships and love change us. Because when we start to feel that stabilization point and we really start to heal, we sometimes don't recognize ourselves. But I keep on hearing, we don't recognize ourselves with a smile on our face. We don't recognize ourselves in the space that we realize that we're changing in ways that we didn't know possible, because it is the ability of building forth with someone that we trust that allows us to have that perpetual trust fall into each other. It's that like I keep on hearing that beautiful space of feeling like you're always a little uncertain, but you're always found again and again, because it is the reliability of building into an energetic connection with another that says, I will always be there to catch you as you move into that space of deeper and deeper vulnerability. This brings us to a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union. Clarification right now between our Death card in its reversal in combination with our Knight of Pentacles in its upright. There's that Four of Wands in its reversal. there's a little bit of this energy. I keep on seeing there's a little bit of this energy right now. I want to say, I feel like there's some energy right now deep within divine union that's working through irritability. I think the irritability is a combination force of the fact that Saturn is transiting into Aries, which again, another planet transiting into Aries can always bring a little bit of feelings of irritability up. Okay. As well as the fact that Mercury is in Taurus, because it can feel like a little bit of stagnation. It can feel like a little bit of working through frustration. But, and this is what I keep on hearing, the ability to work through stagnation and frustration. What is the poultice to stagnation and frustration? Productivity, right? Planning, doing something new, adjustments is what I keep on seeing. So I keep on hearing that there's a lot of that energy that is working through adaptability, being productive through any kind of irritability that they're potentially feeling right now with the combination force of Saturn and the Mercury in Taurus, right? It's like the slowdown. It's like I keep on hearing it's not letting yourself get irritable about the energy. It's like it almost feels like the energy deep within divine union is like forcing themselves into hermit mode to navigate some of this like some of this like energy. It's like I keep on hearing. But it's like it also feels productive in that way. You know, it feels like it feels a little, I want to say it almost feels like a little high priestess too. Continuing to get clarity, because high priestess and hermit are very similar. Continuing to get clarification between our Knight of Pentacles in combination with our Two of Pentacles. Magician in its reversal. I gotta tell you guys, if you haven't had an opportunity to look at the cards over the last few days, I would definitely direct you over to our Substack. Go take a peek at the Substack, because we're seeing a lot of similar cards right now. Now, what's interesting about the fact that we're seeing these similar cards is it has a lot to do with, and especially with this Magician in its reversal, which again, yesterday was it was in our top row, and now it's almost in the penultimate row. Because a lot of that work that we're recognizing and identifying right now has to do with the space of, and I keep on seeing, working through, I keep on hearing, it's almost like the energy that's working through what's not working. Okay? And that's what I think is important about this, because when we see like being the quality and characteristic of being able to work through what's not working, that is its own gift. That's pragmatism, right? Welcome. I'm not surprised to see these type of things happening here, because that feeling of pragmatism is what Gemini energy is about, right? Gemini energy does not give up on things because it's not working. Gemini energy says, what is it going to take to make it work? It's a lot of that. It's like, of course it's not working. It's not going to work until it works, right? And often I keep on hearing a lot of these like Gemini messages, which is like, you know, what is the song of success? Failure, 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 failure. You know, you don't succeed repeatedly. You fail. Failure, 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 failure. You know, you don't succeed repeatedly. You fail able to find new possibilities. Like this is at the heart of Gemini season, because the lesson that we identify between the movement between Taurus and Gemini is, why do we do something over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? Because when something goes awry, we can do it with our eyes closed, right? It's not about the fact that we learn to be energetically consistent so that when there's an exceptional circumstance, we are able to arrive towards it. So I just keep on seeing that there's a lot of that energy here. And now for a lot of, and it's having a different impact across the frequencies. For the energy in separation, this could be articulating upon energy that they felt like they were in relationship with that was too picky, right? And what does it feel like when we're building into relationships where someone is focusing on an aversion, right? Like that feeling of being picked apart. No, this isn't right. This isn't right. This isn't right. You're not right. You're not right. You're not right. You're not right. Right? And that feeling of being picked apart is what makes us feel like we start feeling pulled apart, starts feeling like the relationship is changing us in ways that we don't aspire for, working through that context of healing from the relationship where, again, somebody desires you, but they don't necessarily see you. Somebody wants something from you, but you start to identify that they don't want the same things as you, or feeling that sense of someone that says, I love you, but like somebody saying, like they said that they love me, but I wasn't sure if they liked me, because often that is the energy that says, I just need to change you a little bit and you'll be exactly what I want. That is not how we build healthy relationship, right? Because when we are in healthy relationship, we work in the context of identifying what it is that another person aspires for, and we build into the commitment of saying, changing in the best ways possible, right? It's not the criticism, it's the critique. It's the ability to show each other things that we cannot see, right? It is a pledge that we make to one another saying, I know what it is that you're aspiring to, and I'm going to do the hard work to help you get there. And I promise not to be easy on you along the way, and you promise to do that for me as well, right? It is the energetic commitment to be picked apart in the best way possible. And so that's why I keep on seeing that there's something that's being articulated about the energy working through nuance right now, working through preference, talking through that to help identify and recognize that quality of characteristic of not looking for someone to try to change into what you desire to be perfect, but instead wanting to build with someone because you're ready to change and you're excited on the journey of what you're going to find on the way. Final card for today, and that's happening across all of the frequencies. Final card today between our Four of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Magician card in its reversal. We have here our Three of Wands in its upright. And what's really like, and this is what I keep on seeing, like the beautiful thing that I'm identifying here, and this is really interesting. I think it's coming through as a result of Mercury and Taurus. Slowing down hard conversations, the difficulty point in going slow. I want to tell you right now, I feel like for a lot of the energy in separation, there's conversations that are happening. Talking to one another, saying, I'm sorry we have to move so slowly, but I have to be careful. Why is the energy being careful? Because I keep on feeling like this is energy that either was building into past relationships where someone was too changeable, felt like they had the rug pulled out from under them because they were building more into a space of preference than perseverance. Right? Looking for something, the difference between someone that builds aversion saying this isn't working for me versus the energy saying this is what I know we need to change to get there. Or those situations or circumstances where another is like trying to say that they have that space of care only to recognize that they're trying to use another for a means to an end. And I keep on hearing we don't manifest through each other, we manifest with each other. And so I keep on seeing that there's a lot of this energy that's saying to one another through the converse, like the energy, like this is the beauty. That's what I meant. This is the energy that's saying you are my manifestation. I'm not trying to rush that process, right? That sense or that space of someone saying, I could talk to you forever. Take all the time you need, right? It is the energy that is building in that space of trust. And I keep on hearing they're building that trust brick by brick. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that a lot of this energy is experiencing the vertigo. They're literally experiencing the vertigo of the new perspective, navigating the shift of new partnership. And when we're in a truly fundamental, healthy partnership, our perspective of things start to change. When we find the peace that we've been seeking, everything pivots upon it. And our observation of that This is why we talk about, if you're afraid of change, don't get in a relationship, because a relationship will change you in profound ways. And we see that a lot of that energy doing that work, recognizing what that force of change is. This is the energy that when they see that change, they're seeing things that they could never see before. This brings us to a lot of the energy deep within divine union. A lot of the energy deep within divine union right now. It's interesting because I keep on hearing exceptional isn't exceptional isn't exclusive, is what I keep on hearing. It's a conversation on what a good manifestation is. And I'm not surprised to hear this too, because again, a good manifestation, if you're ever worried, and I keep on hearing this is what the conversation between the energy deep within divine union is having. If you're ever worried about whether a manifestation you have is good or not, can you multiply it? Can you multiply it? If your ability to multiply the manifestation is such that it creates that sense of goodness, it's usually an articulation of the fact that it is a positive manifestation, the sense of something being an exceptional, an energetic miracle, as it were, right? The ability of the fact that you can multiply it is a good identification point as to whether it's a positive manifestation. But if you suddenly are having a manifestation that feels exclusive, you precious special little thing, it's just for you. You are so special. You are the specialist. I've got a news flash. It's special. You are the special. That's probably your ego. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to let you know. I'm sorry to have to be the person to tell you. That's not the higher self. That's the ego. Because the higher self wants multiplying manifestations. The ego would like one that's just for you because you are the special. You are the first. Guess what? You are the first special person ever. Just you. It's amazing. It's really amazing. I know. I am also shocked. Big deal. We don't work in that space. And that's why I keep on seeing that a lot of this energy is, like, I hear the energy deep within divine union talking about cutoff, because it's talking about the space of understanding that what is good for everyone, and what is exclusive is good for someone. So our ability of navigating through that is how we're able to recognize and identify, again, where our energetic values lie, or again, what helps us see the higher self in the process. Bottom of the deck on this reading, King of Pentacles in its upright. So a lot of this work that I'm just recognizing and identifying here has to do in relationality to where we put that force of effort, right? It's like it's working towards, it's not just about, I keep on hearing, it's not just about speaking, it's about having that force of intention. And remembering, here's the thing, and we talk a lot about this here, spirituality. If your spirituality is one that makes you feel like you are special, you should probably look into that. That's probably not a good place to be, because that sense or that space of building into the context, that is indulgent, right? Indulgence is the spirituality that reaffirms something that you want, right? And what does the ego say? The ego says, gimme, right? And when we build spirituality in the space that says, I have a right to gimme, that's usually a sign that it's not healthy. So our ability of being able, like healthy spirituality is literally the act of perpetually checking yourself. That never goes away. And in fact, you have to continue to do it over and over and over and over and over again. You don't find balance and say yay. Every day you start anew to understand what that weight is, what that proportion is. Welcome to Gemini season. Perpetual balancing. It's not about saying, I've done it. Guys, I did it. I did it. You're welcome. It's the perpetual act of recognizing what one needs to do to find balance. And it shifts and it changes. And so that ability of doing so is not one that creates that space, right? It's not, I keep on hearing, it's not the force. Like the healthy work is not re-encouraging something that you want to do. It's looking at what you want to do and feeling like it's something that feels like it is energetically balancing. And so I keep on seeing that this is a conversation that's happening right now across all the frequencies. For a lot of the energy, like working into new partnership, this is literally, I see this as the energy taking accountability, right? This is the energy that is taking that accountability, doing that work, ascertaining what it is that they're working on in order to basically say, again, this is the energy that says, what does the energy of perfection say? I'm not perfect, but I'm working on it, right? It's not in that space that looks for an exception. It always finds a reason. While for the energy that's coming into divine union, a lot of that work, building into that same point of fundamental energetic understanding of the energy that's coming into divine union, because again, when we heal, right? Is this the energy that's come into union and now saying yay? No. What is the energy saying as they're coming into union? Oh my God, I have all of this work to do that I didn't even see before, right? It's the observation of the sight that one finds that says, like, welcome, here's your assignment. You got a lot of work to do, right? It is the continual, perpetual assignment that guides us into that space of understanding. While for the energy deep within divine union, this is a lot of the energy that is articulating and building upon what one holds dear, working into that space, talking into a space of protectiveness. And again, when we hold on to things that are good for us, they don't create bitterness, right? I feel like there's a lot of this energy deep within divine union that is looking at the things they're holding to try to articulate whether it feels like it makes them feel bitter or better, right? Because we can't navigate what occurs to us, but how we carry it forward is always our energetic responsibility. And that's why I keep on hearing, for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, better, not bitter, working in the space of productivity, identifying where the work begins. That is the energy that is, again, like saying that work is not one of latency, it's one of activation. That is where we find all of that. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site, so I would encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the death card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, June 11th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Temperance card. If you would like to become part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid subscriber, have access to a monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up, but if you wanted to catch up, now's a great time to join because you have almost a month leading into that class to be able to bone up on what we studied thus far. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we have learned or are currently studying. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. You will also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is access to over 14 hours worth of material in an ever-expanding library. Even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified as well as to when I post my Mystic Meditation articles, which give you a recap on what we've been seeing energetically in article form. One of the things I also tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in our classes. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings. You can purchase these on an individual level per dream or as a series. If you purchase the dream interpretation reading series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again.